G'day guys, Scotty here from the Oak Barrel. It is already March and I think a recurring theme of these What's Coming Up videos is going to be where is the year going, and precisely where is the year going, because even with the extra day in February things are skipping away, but March is jam-packed. We've got a whole bunch of things coming up tasting wise, and the first thing probably is Benriach. We don't have any at the moment, but in about 3 days time we'll have a whole lot. The single casks are coming back in, the brand new Benriach cask strength batch 2 as well, which is going to be very, very cool, just in time for Stewie Buchanan's. On that same note as well, we see some Adelphis here. There's some more Adelphis coming. Brand new Kalila single cask bottled exclusively for Australia. There's not a huge amount of it. We're going to get as much as we can. Haven't tried it yet, but next week when Alex, Bruce and Connell are in town, we're going to try it out, but that will be here early next week as well. On the Japanese front, the next Suntory drop is probably not going to be until April allocations, but Nikka is in the country. So Yoichi Miyajiko, Nikka from the barrel, the coffee grain, coffee mold, we should see that this month, which is going to be very exciting. It's been a little while between drinks for them. One thing that has come in that we spoke about one of these other times, one of these other videos, was the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection stock. As you can see, we're looking pretty slim at the moment. I've put a bit of a wish list in, so hopefully things like Weller, George T. Stagg we'll see back in very limited quantities again, but hopefully for long enough that I can actually send an email out about them and tell people. Pappies, not too sure, but keep your eyes open for the 10 and the 12 Pappy family, because we might be able to do something on price there in the not too distant future. There's also going to be little bits and pieces come along through the whiskey side of things. Blackgate have a new Solera release out. We'll try and get our hands on that. North Star is pretty much done until the next shipment comes in. The old Poltons came in this month as well. But there's going to be little bits and pieces throughout the world from around the world. One thing that's quite exciting is some rums. We've got some new rums in the country. They should arrive about mid-March. In particular, probably the two biggest names is the last Corona releases. So these are the very, very last Corona releases matured in Trinidad. After that, there's other Corona stock around the world, but it's being matured in other climates. So they're called, the last drop and things like that. Very, very limited in Australia. Once they are gone. So new rums. It's going to be some few other bits and pieces as well. Hampton's coming back in, and over here, a whole bunch of new sake coming through. We've got the Super Sake event coming out that's going to highlight some of their organic and funkier releases. The Tantaka Organic is going to be part of that lineup, so we've got more of that coming in, but also some new things across the board from some of their breweries over in Japan that'll be arriving. Picked up in Victoria this morning, actually got an email, so we should see them early next week. Outside of the events we've got already announced, which include our friends from Talisker. We're going to be cracking that 40-year-old, which is going to be very exciting, and then designing a whiskey for Iniquity for their next release, which we're going to do at their Designer Dram tasting night. They did it in Adelaide, and then they're doing it up in Sydney here as well. Outside of that, there's going to be a whole range of new tastings going on sale in the next couple of weeks across whiskey, tequila, so very, very exciting for tequila we've got coming up, rum, gin. The long-promised Armagnac tasting is finally going to happen. We might even do some blind whiskey tastings as well to sort of challenge it and have a little bit of fun with. But busy March, but we're going to have a lot of fun.